Welcome to Old Dork and Dungeoneer. I'm the Old Dork.
And I'm the Dungeoneer.
He's also my son. He's now 12, so what better time?
What is wrong? I am 10.
Really?
Yes.
10? So what better time than to try something somewhat age-appropriate?
Don't we decapitate zombies?
Right, something completely not age-appropriate. Today we're going to play Dungeons & Dragons for the very first time.
It's like the 7th.
We're going to play Dungeons & Dragons for the very first 7th time. Now, Dungeons & Dragons is a role-playing game. In fact, a tabletop, pen and paper RPG. Do any of these terms mean anything to you?
No.
Right, it's like glorified storytelling. I'm gonna be the narrator, I'm gonna tell you a story in which you are the protagonist, the main character. Every action you take and every choice you make will have a consequence. Mostly, it will end up with your character being dead.
Great.
Because today, we're not just gonna play any Dungeons & Dragons, we're gonna play classic Dungeons & Dragons, which was famous for being quite easy to pick up, but also infamous for being quite unforgiving. What sort of character class have you chosen to play as?
A wizard.
Right, they were known as magic users back in the day. No wizards, no Harry Potters, just magic users. Yes, your character is definitely going to die miserably. What name have you chosen for your character?
Ash.
Is that because you're completely obsessed with Pokemon?
No.
Good. I'm sure your Ash would be completely different than Ash
Ketchum.
Right, yeah, that guy. Well, to be fair, I think Ash as a name is just perfect. The character seems to have quite pale skin, ash-like hair, just fitting. Well done. Now, we have created the entire character, but we have left out the most exciting bit.
Decapitating zombies?
Yeah, I can see a pattern developing here. We might get a visit from social services quite soon at this rate. No, not quite. The abilities, of course, the 6 main abilities that will determine how good or bad your character is at doing things. Usually, you would roll 3d6 dice to get your final score for a certain ability, which means you would have a minimum score of 3 and a maximum of 18. Now, 1d6 is just a regular die. It's like a die with 6 faces. But because we have established that classic D&D is quite unforgiving as it is, I'm gonna give you 4d6.
Oh, nice.
And then you can discard the lowest one, okay?
Oh, okay.
So first up is strength. Let's see how much strength Ash has. So roll 4d6. Take out the lowest one, so 2.
12.
Intelligence is up next.
13.
13, that's pretty good. Next up is wisdom. What could that mean?
If you should decapitate the zombie.
Have you got any example that hasn't have anything to do with decapitating zombies? This is a children's show. They probably changed channel by now.
What?
Changing channels?
What?
Okay, never mind. I guess that's an old thing. Let's see what happens. Definitely
1.
the 1.
That's not very good.
You're gonna die anyway in this game. It's really pointless, this
9.
process. Dexterity. Now, what could dexterity refer to?
How good you are at stealing something.
Yes, absolutely. Or also, at throwing things. You might have some kitchen knives, maybe, in your starting inventory. And you might feel like throwing those knives at enemies, hopefully.
Okay. What?
Yeah. Maybe those kitchen knives will stay in your pocket.
That is
right,
disgusting.
5. That is definitely a malus of -2.
What?
Your character's got plenty of chances of survival. This is going fantastic. Constitution, what could that mean?
How burly you are.
Yes, correct. Do you even lift, as the kids say? Okay, I guess they don't. Right, never mind. I'm the old
dork.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. In game terms, pretty much it will determine how many hit points you will have. So how much damage you can sustain before you're passing. Inevitable passing.
Bomb. These are so bad. Got a 9.
Well, it's better than a 5. And finally, last but not least, my favorite, charisma.
How nice you are.
Yes, how amicable. Doesn't mean you're pretty or ugly, it means just how friendly you come across.
Ugly.
Also to convince people as well.
Oh, nice. I got a 12.
We've got all the scores. Now, because you want to play as a magic user, some of these roles might not exactly fit the character you want to play as. What you can do is you can take away as many points as you want from any of the abilities and then distribute those points somewhere else. Now, through the brilliant magic of editing, would you like to tell us what you have decided to go for?
10 strength, 50 intelligence.
So +1 in game terms. You get to know one additional language. And for narrative reasons, your character knows the language of goblins.
Ooh, decapitation.
Probably talked to the goblin before you decapitated the goblin.
Nah, I'm gonna talk to him after I decapitated him. I'm sure he'll listen. 7 wisdom.
Right,
I get a malus.
You do. You get a -1.
What?
To be honest, I think it's quite fitting. A 16-year-old young man, not very wise in the ways of the world, so you might make decisions that are quite rush and not particularly wise. So wisdom 7, dexterity
9,
constitution
10,
and charisma
9.
it's fine. It's average. We know that your armor class is gonna be a 9. That's how difficult it is for the enemies to hit you. So,
is that good?
No, actually, the worst would be 10. The lower it is, the harder it is for enemies or even allies to hit you. In your case, Ash has 4 hit points, which is very low.
Well, still, it's better than 1.
So maybe don't rush into combat and just stay back.
I am unwise. I'm a stick to that.
Tell you what, if you role play well enough, you can earn role play rerolls, which is something I just made up.
Okay.
For instance, should you do something during the adventure that is particularly in line with your character, I'm gonna give you the possibility to re-roll any of your rolls that you don't like. Okay? And now that the character is done, are you happy with your final decisions? Too late, anyway.
Okay. I was about to change them.
We're gonna start your very first adventure, an old classic from TSR called The Orphans of Sol Corona.
I thought you made that.
Nope, I did not. A very handsome author did, obviously. Very witty as well. Also not a child-friendly adventure, so we will have to make some adjustments to it. Otherwise, yes, we would probably get social services knocking at our door.
What's Sol Corona?
I like your inquisitive mood.
Yeah, now tell me.
No spoilers. It's all about the surprise effect.
No!
Yes, it is about the surprise and possibly dying miserably in the first room.
I will not!
Our first adventure starts in the year 1000 AC.
Okay. 1000.
Yeah, don't you want to know what AC stands for?
Anno Domino.
No, that would be AD actually. After the crowning
After coronation.
of the first emperor of Thayatis. Now, Thayatis is one of the 2 biggest empires in the known world, also called the planet of Mystara.
Can I see the map? Oh, there.
Map of Mystara. The other empire, I'm sure you're wondering, is the Empire of Alphatia.
How do you spell it?
Alphatia?
Alphatia.
Yeah, but you make it sound like rude.
Exactly.
Really? This is going well. These 2 empires have been at war for a very, very long time. But of these 2 empires, you know very little. That is because Ash, a 16-year-old young man, is an orphan and he has lived literally under a rock.
Really?
Because your house has been an orphanage carved into the rock of the Black Peak Mountains in the Grand Duchy of Karameikos, which is one of the allies of the Empire of Thayatis. You obviously haven't grown up all on your own. You have been cared, nurtured by a funny old looking man called Argo. Now he's been hosting 16 orphans at a time. When the orphans turn 16, they can leave. They are graduated from the orphanage. And then Argo takes in other orphans so that they are 16.
How does he find all
Again.
these orphans?
It's a good question. Obviously, he is very old, must be well over 100. So he hasn't been doing this job alone. He has 2 assistants, a young man and a young woman. The man is called Atur, the woman is called Daska, and these 2 have become sort of your big brother and big sister. You help them both out. Everybody does. It's very easy. Argo doesn't have many rules. One of them is all lights are off after dusk, and this is more a precaution. Being up high in the Black Peaks, there might be quite a few goblins and other humanoids coming around.
Okay,
So lights
so
off
secret.
after dark. Yes, he likes to keep it a secret. And the other rule is Argo just asks all of you to be back for dinner at least every day. We're gonna have a hot meal all together in the Great Hall.
Okay.
But other than these 2 rules, you're free to seek any interest you want. Obviously, you have decided to explore the arcane arts. Argo is a former magic user, so he has renounced the arcane arts.
Why?
He just wanted to dedicate the rest of his life, which might not be too long to be honest, to do good without having the burden of magic. So he wasn't quite willing to teach you anything in the ways of magic. Luckily for you, you have befriended somebody else, a man in his early 40s called Bastian Bora. He's a scholar and he currently visits a village called Verge, which is close enough to Sol Corona. In fact, it's the only village you ever visited. It takes a couple of hours because you do have to climb down the mountain. And to you, despite the village having also like 500 people at most, honestly, it looks like a metropolis to you. And this man comes quite often to Verge because he's quite interested in the goblin clans and the humanoid clans. So what better place than Verge to be at, especially because Verge gets raided quite frequently by clans of humanoid. And as you can see from his face, he literally came in contact with the clans. But he's also taught you how to speak goblin. Being a magic user himself, he has started to teach you the ways of magic. He has gifted you your most prized possession.
What is it?
Which is your very first spell book.
Are there any good spells in it?
Just one.
Is it good?
Well, it's called Read Magic, and it just lets you read.
Oh, what a good spell!
Well, it will actually help you read scrolls, for instance.
Okay, and I'd rather have a really good spell than read scrolls.
Well, you should probably take it up to Bastian Bora, and because that's the only one he taught you so far. Also, he's such a prized possession that you decided to hide it away so that nobody else would see it. You put it somewhere safe in the library of Sol Corona. Which
the library?
Yeah, you've spent all your entire life there. You've learned how to read and write since you were 3.
But, like, if someone just casually books in the library, tries to read a book, they just find my spell book.
Yeah, how much wisdom have you got again?
7, so the reroll, right?
You know what? Fine. It was a decision that was made before the adventure started. I think it's fitting for the character to have done something possibly not too wise. So you get your first roleplay reroll.
That was the best one, actually.
That's nice, and that's going in. Today is the 15th of Newmont. Now, Newmont is the first month of spring, but it has been such a harsh and long winter that for all intents and purposes, it feels like you're still stuck in the middle of winter.
Okay.
You find yourself in Verge, covered in snow. You're having a good chat with your friend, Bastian Bora, at the Tavern of the Boar's Head. But the conversation is, your day out is cut short because there is a snowstorm approaching. You can clearly see it in the distance. So you and Bastian Bora are about to leave the tavern. He puts a hand on your shoulder to draw your attention and tells you, Ash, tonight, don't go to dinner with the others.
Wait, what?
Pretend to be sick and everything will be more clear.
How do you know that we're supposed to go to dinner?
That's a very good question. You probably have a lot of questions to ask Bastian Bora right about now.
Yeah, so I grab his hand.
Unfortunately, he's left the seat already.
Yeah, he magically disappeared.
Like Batman. I'm Batman. And he disappeared. But you're left wondering what he could be talking about, especially because you're pretty certain that you have never, ever mentioned Sol Corona. You might have mentioned having an old father and some brothers and sisters, but that's how far you went into the matters of Sol Corona.
If you let me grab his hand, I would know.
Maybe if you had been more agile, you could have done that.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do tonight on the evening of the 15th of Newman? Are you going to follow Bastian Bora's advice?
No.
Okay, sure. It's up to you. Or you go to dinner, like all the other evenings.
What was that?
As you can tell, the storm is approaching very fast.
I don't go to dinner.
You trust Bastian Bora. Ash
I
doesn't.
don't know why.
He's a good friend. Is giving you your first spell book. That's something.
We've read magic.
Very powerful spell. What sort of excuse do you come up with?
I'm really sick. Sorry, I can't go.
Sure, it works. Like the sorry, very polite.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been brought up very well. Just like
by Argo.
The Dungeoneer has been. Also worth mentioning, you have shared the same dormitory number 4, with other 3 orphans at Sol Corona. There is a young man called Brenner, but everybody calls him Bren. Another man called Zeno, and a young woman called Eleni. Do you tell any of them that perhaps they shouldn't go to dinner?
The Bren guy. Bren, I feel kind of sick. Can you stay with me a bit, please?
Oh, yeah, of course, young Ash. He calls you young Ash and has a very deep voice, but he's 16 as well. So, you're used to it by now. I'll be more than happy to. I don't even like the food here. It's terrible. I'll rather not go to dinner.
That's rude.
Yeah, it's not exactly the most polite of...
Does he actually think that?
You cannot wait to get out of Socorro. By the year 1000, most of you are now 16, in fact all of you are now 16 years old. The expectation is that very soon all of you will leave. And this Brent guy seems to be quite keen on getting out and living life on his own. So having said that, Eleni goes to dinner.
What about Zeno?
Oh, good point. Thank you for reminding me that. Zeno is nowhere to be found.
Okay.
And people are getting a bit worried about where his whereabouts might be. Because again, one of the rules of Socorro is, at least for dinner, everybody should be back. So, Zeno is nowhere to be found, and Eleni goes to dinner. Something might happen to her.
What do you mean?
Sometimes the Dungeon Master will need to make some rolls, some hidden rolls, for things that happen in the background that you're not aware of. Whenever you see me rolling dice for no good reason, there is a reason, I'm not crazy.
Aren't you?
Only when the story requires me to be. And this brings the 15th of New Month to an end, and then we can start when you wake up from not exactly the most comfortable of sleeps. You wake up on the morning of the 16th of New Month.
16. Argo likes the number 16.
Does he? Old Argo is definitely fascinated / obsessed by the number 16, but as soon as you open your eyes, something is very wrong.
What's that?
First of all, you're feeling cold. The room in which you find yourself looks nothing like the lavish, quaint and colorful 4th dormitory of Socorro. As soon as your eyes adjust despite the initial fright, well, it looks like a cell.
Did I ever not go to dinner before?
No, actually, good point. This is the first time that Ash has not gone to dinner.
So it could be the reason.
Maybe not. But you're quite scared. Your entire body is very sore, and you immediately realize that you've been sleeping on sort of a metal mesh instead of a comfy mattress. And as you try your best to compose yourself, to your right there seems to be a sleeping person, and you're quite sure in fact that it's Brett.
I scream at him.
He seems to hear you just fine. He yawns very loudly and turns around and, oh, good morning, Yak Ash. Oh, morning, Yak. And then he freezes on the spot. He immediately sits up with his back straight and has a very horrified look around. Yak Ash, what is this place?
I guess it's the dormitory.
The dormitory? This place looks nothing like the dormitory. Have you hit your head? Oh, it's so cold as well. Where are the others? Where's sweet Eleni and cheerful Zeno? Bren is as shocked as you are, although he tries his best not to show it, but he's shaking as a leaf. What would you like to do?
Go to the left side, I guess.
It soon becomes apparent that somebody must have had quite the heavy night last night, because it's definitely somebody snoring.
Zeno.
Correct, yes, it is Zeno. Although Zeno has never snored before. So maybe last night something happened to him that has caused him to have such a troubled sleep. He seems very much collapsed, and yeah, it might require some added persuasion to be awakened.
Okay.
Let's have a constitution check to see if he can snap out of this heavy slumber he's falling in. Now, Zeno's constitution is 13, so whenever it comes to ability checks, it's always about rolling 1d20, and if the score is equal or lower than the ability in question, you will have passed the check. So if I roll a 13 or less, Zeno will wake up.
I just have to be very unlucky.
13.
Oh my! I thought he wouldn't wake up.
He does wake up, he's very groggy. Asha, is that you? And then he stops. He curses, but you're not gonna say that.
Beep!
And he stops slapping his face. Do you stop him from slapping his face?
Zeno, stop.
Oh, am I dreaming?
I don't know what's going on.
Oh, I came in very late last night. Oh, let me tell you a good story.
Okay,
fine. What? Fine, you don't care about exposition. But Zeno is awake as well, and as gobsmacked as the rest of you are, he also has an inkling for relieving people of their possession. Let's put it that way.
So he's a thief.
He's definitely, yes, he's a thief.
We'll go to the very dark area.
And on this corner of the dungeon room, you find a sleeping young woman. No surprise, you do almost immediately recognize that it's Eleni. And she's wearing her PJs as well. She seems to be moving, possibly because you just shouted earlier. She's probably about to wake up. And in fact, she stands up.
Screams.
Good morning, guys. I can't wait to have breakfast. She doesn't look like she's noticing anything out of the ordinary. She pulls the privacy curtain she has.
Hey, Eleni.
Yes, Ash, good morning.
Do you not notice anything weird?
Well, Zeno didn't try to wake me up with his sling for once, but I think that's because this lovely curtain...
Not that.
She's also touching her necklace, and it's not just a normal necklace. It's what's called a holy symbol. Some sort of solar crown, which is the same symbol for Sir Corona. It is a faith that's been championed, sponsored by Argo himself and Daska and Atur. She's never been very specific as to what immortal or immortals she prays to, because you've read a lot. You suspect that it could very well be the Sun Prince himself, Ixion, but she's never publicly said that name. The thing is, as you see her touch the holy symbol for reassurance, she does that a lot, something catches your eye, and despite the darkness, you can clearly tell that the symbol is quite different. It's more like a solar eclipse. But anyway, she doesn't seem to notice anything different.
Lenny, all of us see this dungeon-like place.
Oh, come on, Ash, I'm not gonna fall for that. It's too early in the morning for pranks. I mean, I would expect it from Zeno, but not from you.
No, it's true, and your symbol, it looks like an eclipse.
She raises the symbol to her face. Sorry, Ash, no, it's definitely, the symbol that I have had for a few months now. Maybe, oh yeah, of course, you were feeling sick last night. Must be something to do with that.
And Zeno...
We were worried about you.
And Zeno and Bren.
Well, I don't trust Zeno, but Bren? Well, lovely Eleni, I must admit, not that I am afraid, but Ash is indeed right. This is not so Corona, this is a horrible, stinky place, and it's pretty cold as well. But fear not, Eleni, I shall protect you with my life. And, oh, nothing else. Wait, I need my stuff. But of course, this is not the fourth dormitory. Or is it? Let's have an intelligence check.
I pass.
Good. Thanks to your innate intelligence, you've started to realize that the layout, the position of the items, where your lovely fancy beds would be, the pillar, even the position of the stinky toilet hole, match exactly the position that you see these items in now.
This room is sus.
So what do?
I look at your head. No, I go inside the boxes.
You can have a look around, although it's going to be quite hard to go through the items without a proper source of light. So some of them are not even... Torch. There is one lit torch, but it's around 3 meters above the ground level, so it's quite hard to reach.
He's a thief.
Correct. Ash, leave it to me. I can retrieve the torch just fine.
Quick.
Watch me go. Well, it was a good idea to ask Zeno to try and retrieve the torch, because thieves are exceptionally good climbers. And I don't mean like they need metal hooks and ropes and whatnot to climb a wall. They are literally like Spider-Man. They can just use their hands and feet. Flat surfaces, they just climb them up.
How?
Like nothing's going on.
They have fingers of...
Well, it's just one of their abilities. However, he's only a level 2 thief, so there is a chance that he might
fail.
He might fail. He has a percentage of 88%. It's pretty good. And very effortlessly, cat-like, he just climbs up the pillar, grabs the torch, and then maybe jumps with a little pirouette just to show off a bit. And lands on the ground and raises the torch. Success! Ash, here's the torch.
Okay.
So once you get to your chest, it looks nothing like the ornate and elegant big chest full of your belongings. This one looks decrepit and is almost falling apart. You can definitely access the content of the box from above, and you find your beloved kitchen knives, of which you find 4.
I have kitchen knives.
And you recognize these knives because you have borrowed them from the kitchen. As we've established, you seem to have a fascination for decapitating things. So Argo has decided that between that and your interest in the arcane magic, you should have focused on the less dangerous of the two activities, which is obviously knives. So is pretty much send you to the kitchen at every opportunity. And then you find 3 scrolls.
Are they magical?
Yes, they're magic items. Now you remember these scrolls because you recognize them immediately as the ones that Bastian Bora gave to you.
Ooh,
he gifted you the spell book, which, let's remind the viewers,
old mysterious
is being
guy
hidden in the library. But these scrolls you've kept in your chest. A bit like when you get a prescription from your doctor, they always write in this alien-like handwriting. That's exactly what happens with magic users. They write so badly that nobody can make anything out other than themselves. However, let's have another intelligence check to see whether you're able to notice something about these 3 scrolls.
They are magical.
No, that you've already established.
Bong. I pass.
You realize that although you cannot understand what's written in them, the writing is always different from one scroll to the other. So they seem to contain 3 different spells.
Okay, what do the others find?
Now, in the meantime, the others have done pretty much the same. Bren has gone to his chest. Well, the chest was already too small to contain what looks like a massive battle axe. It was a gift. Well, it wasn't really a gift. They expected him to go and chop wood. He never did.
Did he not?
Nope. But he did definitely keep the battle axe, which is now here as well. You also find a piece of paper. You immediately recognize the words that are written on this piece of paper because it's the blessing that Argo always used every evening to bless the food.
Praise the 16 orphans for 16 years as they wait on our house until dusk nears. So dapper when it's time to lend their hands, for once you're made, each 16 understands.
Clearly, somebody slightly less intelligent, Bren, couldn't quite remember these words, so he probably decided at some point to write them down for reference.
Okay.
Eleni finds 1 mace, which is a very typical weapon for a cleric or priestess. That is because they are, for religion reasons, they are forbidden to use any weapons that have a sharp edge. So they can only use blunt weapons, really. And then we go to Zeno. So he finds his beloved sling. It's a good thing that Eleni is not looking, probably, with 22 stones.
I moved to that desk thing.
Oh, yes, as soon as you get close to the desk, you see Bren starting to get a little agitated, and you're not quite sure why.
Okay.
Unlike you, Bren has only started learning how to read and write recently. Even the night before, you could see him busy at the desk, trying his hand at writing. So you do find quite a few pieces of paper, but there is one that stands out. It feels like Bren is almost trying to stop you from...
No, I'm not stopping.
Maybe he's got something to hide, maybe not.
What's there?
But he's getting quite anxious about you being so close to, this letter. So what do you do? Do you read the letter that's been handwritten?
Of course. Your love is what I am to gain. Task for you I am in deep pain. To resist you I find it such a test, so why won't you show me? Wait, what?
As you can see, the poet in question,
Bren.
anonymous poet,
Bren.
couldn't quite find the last word to complete this work of art.
This is supposed to be child-friendly.
It is totally child-friendly. It's been censored. You can now clearly see that Bren is very, very red.
I'm Bren.
Yes, young Ash.
What's this poem?
Oh, nothing. And it just grabs the note from you and it stashes in his PJ.
Really? Ooh! What an idiot.
Are you speaking out loud?
No.
Okay, it's good.
You do know there's no point in doing that because I've already read it, right?
Well, as I always say, young Ash, one can never have enough poetry in life.
Sure.
And so now you have assembled your first party. Ash, a level 1 magic user, 4 kitchen knives, no spellbook. Brenner, a level 2 fighter with a big battle axe and an even bigger ego. Zeno, a level 2 thief who might have had something happen to him last night, but we'll never know because somebody didn't want to listen to exposition. And finally, Eleni, a level 2 cleric with something around their neck that might spell trouble. Or not. Time will tell. if you don't die first.
I guess I go to the door.
Of course, yes. It's locked.
Is it?
Yes, very much locked.
Zeno, can you try and pick the lock?
Of course I can, Ash. Let me try. So opening the lock is a little more challenging than climbing a wall. He only has 20% chance.
What?
Yep. So Zeno hears, well, you all hear, in fact, a metal click, as if something has happened inside the lock. He's about to say something, but all four of you hear a voice, in fact, a scream, coming from behind the door.
Eleni, guys, wake up, we're in danger.
So whoever it is
From you?
seems to know your names, and you, Zeno, and Bren hear a gobbling, but Eleni, instead, hears exactly the same words, but spoken by a tour.
My life is a lie.
That is the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. If you liked what you've seen, well, it's good now.
No, hit
No?
like and subscribe.
Yeah, of course, all those things that young people do, hit everything, except the dislike button.
Yeah, we don't like the dislike button.
He's only 10. I don't want to pay for a psychiatrist and the trauma that might cause him.
Yeah.
So, thank you for watching, and keep rolling.
Bye.
Decisions. We can use this as a...
No, we're not using that as a proof.
Now. Too late.
I'm not giving you permission.
I don't need your permission. You are my child.
You do need my permission.
You are my child.